Yeah, TIDAL Check In, Elliott Wilson, man. This is an honor, man. Legendary leader, Public Enemy, Chuck D. Chuck, what's up, sir?
What's up, Elliot? I just blew Elliot's mind with some facts from back in the day, some Roosevelt facts. I had a crush on his cousin Sheila Wilson, for 12 years.
Sheila Wilson, yeah. Sheila's my father's Elliott Senior. I'm Elliott Junior. That's his brother Ed's children. So I didn't even know that, man. Sheila Wilson, shout out. I'm gonna hit up on Facebook after this is over.
Yeah.
But Chuck, I'm gonna start, man, with that new album, man. I think I'm gonna get my critic hat on. I'm gonna tell you this is your best album, the best PE album to me since He Got Game. You know, I really, is that fair to say? I know how you get on us critics, man, but I just want to tell you, I really was inspired by the new album. I wanted to kind of understand, like, you know, what was the message you were trying to convey, and how do you think you were able to execute it?
Albums are albums, and albums also have to reflect the decade that they're in. Yeah. Today, to me, 5 songs make an album. People's attention spans are like the mosquitoes. So you got to understand what you were doing album-wise. Back in 1988, we put 16 songs that filled up an hour because the appetite was there. Not just for us, but the appetite was there for more hip-hop songs. And then in the 90s, everybody had albums. So how much space do you have and how much curation is going on? And then the 2000s, you know, He Got Game, we ushered in an era after that for MP3s and said, everybody's going to be here anyway. So in a short period of time, you're going to see cats cutting records and sending them out of left field to the point where you're going to have 1 million artists doing their thing or more with a trillion songs coming from wherever. And then you had mixtapes coming out officially, but then MP3s were coming out. So, I mean, the records that we have done in the last 10 to 15 years have sparked in different places in the world, and we've had enjoyment with those records. I had a great time with the 2015 album, Man Plans, God Laughs. The whole album was done in 28 minutes. So we tried to make 2-minute songs. So, I mean, and then also we make records not based on what somebody likes at all, because I have a firm belief, like, as an artist, you make whatever you want to make. I ain't got no obligation to please nobody but myself. And then you adhere to your team and you make that a team statement. When you're in performance, you're at 1,000% servitude to that audience. Getting across whatever you recorded, they don't care. Listen, you recorded it, but I paid my money. I want to see you sweat and convince me that shit that you doing is worth my while. And a lot of times back in the day, if you couldn't perform the record that people liked, matter of fact, they ended up hating it.
You couldn't sound like the record. You can't sound like the record.
I dug the record. I saw them live, thumbs down. I'm like, we didn't want that to happen. So we'd be the opposites. Like, I don't know what the fuck they was doing. But I saw them live and like, oh shit, well, damn, it was another thing. So we from that school. So we never really like made records for appealing with the rose in our teeth, like, oh, I love this. Now it's like, what you heard is what you get. So what happens, Elliot, some people like this, and some people like, damn, they should have did that last shit. Or some people like, I hate it, but I like that other shit, because we never ever try to repeat ourselves. So we didn't care what response you would come with. It was never the knock on critics. It was the knock on critics that would try to go at rap music when their shit is half-assed. It's like, it wasn't about us. It's like, you're not listening to everything. You only listen to what comes on your table. And so it wasn't about us, because we could take anything. But when you come down on rap music, and then you trying to do R. Kelly and trying to do, Babyface in the same critique, you don't know enough about how this music rolls out and performs. So that was my thing with critics. I always thought arrogantly that they didn't know enough about my shit than me. So that was that. But in this record around, it's one of those things. It's like somebody said that it was more like a mixtape than an album, because they used to like albums being crafted like 20 years ago. And I was like, you want to call it a mixtape? Call it a mixtape. Cool. That's what it is. At the end of the day, it's somebody that says they held my attention, and what we wanted to use, what you're going to do when the grid goes down, is use the album format as a platform to ask one question. What are you going to do when the grid goes down, beware and prepare yourself for government trickery and fuckery when it comes down to it. Just be awake. If anything, the album's supposed to detonate by November 3rd. So, you know what I'm saying? So, and you know what? And today, where, let's say majors or whatever, if you're going through different eras and you're trying to get somebody to come to the table so they can market, usually the thought is like, well, maybe we could get what they call them today. You know, they call them features today. And then before that was collabs.
They didn't call that when it was Burn Hollywood Burn Time, right? They didn't call it that.
Burn Hollywood Burn was the first album, or the first time that you had different artists from different labels collaborate. And let me tell you that the reason that it was groundbreaking, because we had to fight to get that done. Ice Cube was Priority, the Capital System, SEMA. Big Daddy Kane was what? Cold Chillin' with Warner Brothers. So their record labels was basically saying, and then we were Def Jam, you know, at that time, Sony. So every record label said, no, that record got to be on this one. No, it got to be on this one. They were like, yo, we're not letting you have Kane. No, we're not letting you have Cube. And we was like, no, I had enough power at that time. Said, fuck that. Make it happen. This is what we do. But it wasn't easy. After that, they understood and found a way that you could start seeing collaborations. This artist over here, that artist over there.
It's vital now for a lot of
artists. Now. So in this one, of course, you know, when somebody's getting a chance to work a Public Enemy record and they might be 32 years old, they're going like, well, what do I got to work with? I mean, what? And so usually the thought process would be like, well, get them to do the record here with this person and get some features in here with that. But that wasn't this case. This case just happened to be that way.
Yeah, because I thought with you revisited Fight the Power, but it's like you debuted it on BET, the awards, but having Nas and all those people on there, it still felt very organic. It didn't feel that's
because Questlove made it happen like that. Questlove, Jesse Collins, they made it happen like that. So in the old age stage that I am, I'm like, usually old OGs and old heads, when they want to be curmudgeons, they stop good shit. Me, I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. We like that shit, you know? And Questlove, when, you know, the Roots, they make history every night. So what fool, although I thought that somebody young, somebody, you know, relevant in this era right now, and that framework should say something now, truth to power. Younger people, young adults walk into the street saying, we want change right now. I said, out of this should be something that they form that narrative. Me as an OG, I'm here for guidance, counseling, advice, consigliere. But they were like, nah, we think Fight the Power speaks to this moment. And we think that these voices added to it. And I'd be a fool to say nah. And it already added into some things that we already had, like a collaboration with Ice-T and Paris Smith on Smash the Crowd. You know, already me and Primo were on tour last year with Enemy Radio, and we had got to talking. And the whole thing with Def Jam, Elliot, came out of the fact of, for years, we made innovations and inroads in the internet world, downloading, the streaming and all that.
He was always ahead of the curve with that.
Independent. You know, the reason I got independent, because I could reach 200 countries. Well, I could reach 100 countries. The major system only reached 30 countries. So I'm saying, y'all can't reach the 70 countries that I reach. We got to make, you know what? I got to get into something, and it was peer-to-peer, and it was the internet that could do that. And I was like, he got game, catch y'all later. There's a project going on was 1999, and it reached out in all those areas. So for 20 years, we made inroads. I did all that, the Napster thing, boom, boom, boom. Flav, who's the star, basically said, yo, Chuck, we did all that, man. Yo, man, I want to do something with a major and bigger. Or I'm like, and me, I was like, I don't know. So we was at a standstill for a long time. And then, you know, I was like, you know, overseas with Primo, and Flav says, yeah, man, I got Primo, you know, I got him as an idea. I said, well, I'm already with Primo working. So, and then Def Jam came up. So that was a perfect compromise and settlement on me and him, because it ain't Public Enemy without flavor. But at the same time, I got my desk full. I ain't got to be Public Enemy all the time.
Yeah.
And we said, all right, this is a good time to do something with them. And this is maybe how we should do it. And when I turned 60, I thought the perfect birthday hip hop present for me was to pay tribute and homage to the dudes that dragged me in. And that was Run DMC, Jay. I reached Public Enemy #1 tape over Jay's lap to give to Dre to play on the radio. And then the Beastie Boys, who close to Rick.
Yeah.
And that's why Rick chased me for 2 years. He tried to get me to do records from 84 to 86. And Dre went to record with them first, Original Concept.
Original Concept, yes.
But he also created, you know, Miami bass music with Pump That Bass.
Yeah.
He the one that came up with that boom, boom, with the rolling, because the first record that was heard on was Together Forever by Run DMC.
Yeah.
And I say boom, 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 which later on, you know, became Miami bass, trap, you know, Sustain 8, Mid-South, you know.
But I always wondered, but I always wondered too, like I always heard that Rick pushed you and kept calling you every week. Like I want to know, like when did you feel like so you decided you're gonna do it? You at that time you thought you're in your mid-20s, you might be too old to make a record per se. Back then.
I didn't want to make Chucky D records.
You didn't make Chucky D records.
Spectrum City was our team. We tried to get a syndicated radio.
So when did you feel confident that Rick was right, that this was your calling? Like, did you feel that during Bum Rush the Show? Like, when did you feel like yourself that I should be an artist? I feel like a recording artist. Like I belong here.
Jay brought me down to Madison Square Garden where they held up the Adidas and turned around and said, "This ain't bad, is it?" So we decided to surrender our syndicated radio idea. And it was simple as that. Because Jay was like, Jam Master Jay was like, "Yo, Chuck, so it's all right?" "Yeah, it's all right, Jay." Simple as that, right? That was the one that said, okay, if I'm going to do it, then this is my whole everything. It's like, that's where the title Bum Rush the Show comes from.
Yeah.
Chuck gets the toe in the door and the rest follow through me.
Yeah.
You know,
how did it evolve though? Because like I remember the turning point being like Run DMC again. I remember like even DMC was saying all of a sudden there's this record, Rebel Without a Pause. It's like an instant classic. Like I love the first album, but you could tell with Rebel that your sound was advancing. You know, you were going to another space. Like, well, how did the group grow that way? So
the album was supposed to be. The album was patterned off of what I still call the greatest hip hop album of all time, and the greatest hip hop group of all time. That's Run DMC, Raising Hell. That record, when I saw it in the stores, I didn't believe that rap could really be an album format. Although Larry Smith and Houdini 2 years before, but that was like, you know, R&B-ish. Your girl likes it too, you know, and Houdini's one of my favorite groups of all time.
Yeah, underrated. As
far as that dirty, gritty shit, when Run DMC came out with Raising Hell, I said, Rock Boys are in trouble. Because I looked at Run DMC the same way I was looking at Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And we was Hank was actually a manager in Valley Stream, Long Island, at a record store, Sam Goody's. And Hank said, "Yo, man, look at this, man." Hank Shockley says, "Look at this." And we looking at Iron Maiden. And he brings up 5 Iron Maiden albums where they had the same logo, the same skeleton thing. And we was like, wow, they sequeling this shit. It's like, I don't even know what fucking music they make, man. I'm not, even if it was like for 30 years, I still didn't know what they made. But I knew their sequeling of their story the way they did it. And so I go into Sam Goody's one time, I'm looking at Raising Hell, and they got like 2 different colored jackets.
Yeah, the orange has different colors of the sleeve too. Yeah.
And I kept flipping it back over. Because I had heard tapes from Dre, who had tapes of Raising Hell, and we played it on WBAU, and finally the album came out, and I was blown away. So that's what made me say, this shit is album-oriented music, just like the Rock Boys. Yeah. This shit is head-to-head. Yeah. So out of that thing, we designed Yo Bum Rush the Show, sort of like in that same vernacular, but being in a major system, which is Def Jam. Remember this, Def Jam was not a given. It was an experiment with CBS Records. It was an experiment that jumped out of the box with radio with LL.
Yeah.
But then the next one was the Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys was supposed to come out early 1986. But with a major, they have what they call priority pushback. Bruce Springsteen was coming out that year. So when
USA.
the Boss came in, he pushed the Beastie Boys was supposed to come out in the spring, maybe the summer of '86, because that's the Raising Hell tour.
Yeah.
And the Raising Hell tour had Run DMC, LL Cool J, Beastie Boys on it, right?
Yep.
They got pushed back in the fall 87. No, fall 86.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to come out in late summer 86 with Yo Bum Rush the Show, Public Enemy #1, all that, because they ain't putting a single out but close to the album. That's how majors worked, especially then. They ain't catering to your ass. Yep. You in the major system now. You go into their cater. We not singles format. Remember, hip hop, rap music was all singles, man.
Yeah, you had to earn the album. You had to earn the album.
After 2 or 3 hot joints.
Yeah.
Then your album, by the time it got to 87, 88, 89, was not a piece of vinyl. It was cassettes. Cassettes was on, and the majors is like, wow, we know we could sell cassettes, and we ain't got to press this vinyl. At, you know,
the Walkman has started, right? The Walkman
has started. Cats had boxes, you know. So by the middle of the '80s, cassettes. We got pushed back, man, into 1987, man. Because the Beastie Boys got pushed back in the fall, and here we go, where the album's supposed to come out. You know, hip hop, especially back then, you got to be like on the
window.
On the street.
Yeah. And they said, I know you got soul showed that you felt like your Sonics were a little behind at that time. Right?
2 MCs changed the whole entire game. They like the Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong, what they did, the popular music. KRS-One with poetry, especially South Bronx. Criminal Minded, and Eric B. and Rakim, with Eric B. as president, My Melody, and then I Know You Got Soul by spring of 1987. Changed the whole game, man. Cats ain't really stopped rhyming, sort of like in that framework. It showed that Rakim was able and KRS-One was able to make the beat go to them instead of you going to the beat.
Yeah.
We got caught in that transition. So we come out with Yo Bum Rush the Show. We still going to the beat. Rakim made the beat go to him. So that's where Rebel Without a Pause came up out of. Inspired by I Know You Got Soul and also what KRS-One was doing. So Rebel Without a Pause, what it allowed us to do is speed it up. Yeah. And so once you speed it up, you ain't got to rhyme to the beat. The beat could rhyme to your flow, could flow to your flow. It's a science up in there. Yeah. But you know, I mean, if you got something that's already moving, the whole key is that you could kill it or you could keep it moving by jabbing it with it. So that's what happened.
Well, I thought you always did that too. Like you sort of avoided the conventional rhyme schemes, you know, the way you approach tracks.
I did. Well, it was more like Shaq. You know, like Shaq when he played basketball, he played man ball. Yeah. It's like, what moves you got, Shaq? Just fucking dunk on their ass. For me, I tried to
down your throat like Barkley.
I tried to dunk every word. Like, Chuck, you got flow? I don't need no flow. I got a 7'8" voice. I'll dunk words on you. That was my style. You didn't
have to even rhyme sometimes. You didn't have to even add that end rhyme sometimes. You would just.
Well, I brought that rhyme back at the end of What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down on the Grid song. Yeah. And I brought a rhyme back that I did in 87. This style versatile said without rhymes, which is why they're on me and they're on my back. You know, so I'm not even rhyming.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
But
also the key with you too. Like I remember I used to hear about you used to go on long drives, and that's where you would be inspired to write and compose your lyrics. The thing with you, and also I think in the new generation, in the '90s generation, we credited Prodigy for Mobb Deep a lot. You always had that opening line as an MC that would draw us in. Like, can you talk about that? Yeah.
That's the dunk. That's the dunk. That's the you know, you got. I mean,
yeah. Like you literally writing Terror Dome, right? And it's a tumultuous time in your career, and you literally start with "I got so much trouble on my mind." Like
you got to come out like Leonard Hearn. You got to come out swinging, man, because you're older. You sound older. You can't fuck around. You can't play around, man. Attention spans, even then, was like, you know, people who used to hearing high school voices, little voices, man, and they hear flows and, you know, nice music and shit like this. I'm coming like, oh, this is why flavor is so key, because you can't unhear him. You can't unhear him. And me, you can't unhear either. When you put the combination together, you can't unhear us. So it could be nothing. That's why I guess we 1 and 2 on the most sampled voices out of hip hop and rap music.
Yeah.
And it's not based on flow. It's based on just something that cuts through whatever they're doing. It could be noise, it could be music, it could be bass, it could be beats. And they'll use it as a sample. And we're thankful for that. But Berry Gordy made the signature. He said, when he was making all those Motown records, man, he said, man, first 10 seconds got to get you, or that record ain't going to do it. It's like, I mean, first 10 seconds, man.
Do you think that could even apply today? And maybe a lot of today's rappers don't view it that way, or they get more focused on the chorus per se, than not necessarily the opening bars of their verse?
Elliot, I'm really radical. I'm really radical.
You study this game, Chuck. You've been studying this since Melly Mel and everybody. Come on.
Hey, listen, if you want to come down and see, I'm so crazy and radical musically that I don't dare to even count myself. Don't count what I think. I believe that the 45-second record is the what they used to call snippet.
That's the future.
It's already been there. It's like people don't want more than like 40. If they want more than 45 seconds on something, it's got to keep going into something. I don't think like the 3-minute, 4-minute record all the time by everybody is going to do the same thing to everybody. I think that was back in the day. And then here's another thing. People listen with their eyes. So if they don't see no music, music today is sight, sound, story, and style. It could come out of this area, that left field behind your head. That's the musical experience. It's not necessarily what you hear. Younger people like born after like 1980, or maybe 1990, right? Definitely 1990.
Soldier Boy and on type thing,
Man, it ain't based on what they hear. What they hear is irrelevant, man. It's like who they are, what they do. And out of what they do is probably what you hear, what you see. And so therefore, when you play an old beat for a young head, they might not even they might not even catch it. They only going to probably put their world to it, but it's got to have more than just the beat. So I mean, I just think that I know what I know, and we do what we do. And we know what it is and know what it ain't. I've been curated rap station for the last, 10 years and been doing a hip hop radio show called And You Don't Stop for the last 11 years. So I get everything. I get every generation. Yeah, we skew towards 30 and over, and a few get up in there at the 25, but they do what they do, and then we make it all fit and juxtapose it. So when it came down to making this album, it's about the sequencing. It's about doing something that captures your attention span, that for a minute, if you want to drift off, at least things will carry you on. So it's not like you could go in there and Easter egg and find an album for answers that, Public Enemy is going to give me the answer on how I can live if the grid goes down. Nope. That's something you have to do on your own time, man. It's not going to teach you anything that you as a grown person, 30 and over, already don't know. This is that make you look into yourself. Bruce Lee said it best. I cannot teach you. I only can help you explore yourself. So I mean, it's on that merit. So for my 60th, I was honored by giving honor to Mike D, Ad Rock, Run, and DMC. And to me, just to me, selfishly, the finest moment on that album is Run handing off the DMC. And I say that 17-second handoff to me is the thing that made me emotional about that.
Because they've had their issues, obviously, and like I wanted to ask you about that. Like even you and Flavor, like how have you maintained that partnership? Like that's not easy to do, obviously. Like how
I maintain the partnership by knowing I gotta do 90%, and I know I can get the most out of Flav's 10%. And
you say that with love. You say that with all love.
And him wanting his 50%. But you know what? Sometimes that's best, because when he try to give you a little bit too much without doing research, I'm like, bro, you're doing too much without studying, bro. So we have that agreement, man. But the next album he's gonna produce called "Come to Where the Flavor Is."
Really?
And that's just gonna be a train wreck, bro. Right, we can make the
like when you slid him up. It's like when you slid him on the radio back in the day and host his own show.
Yeah,
like,
yo, man, it's gonna be it might be a beautiful train wreck, bro. I'm down with it. I mean, what I got to prove? What we got to prove? So,
Chuck, how do you still sound good at 60 years old, man? You sound sharp. The bars, like the voice, like how have you maintained the gift? Like how do you still sound good? We've seen rappers lose their flow, lose their cadence. Their voice ain't the same. Like how have you maintained the gift?
We well, my brother and I could attest that our father, who passed away in 2016, he had the voice of thunder, man. That was thunder and lightning, man. You didn't want that. I mean, my dad would yell across. When he come out on that front stoop and yell, usually, bro, my brother, who's always was running some kind of fuckery around. But my father, when he yelled and called your name, you could not say, I didn't hear you. Because he'd be like, didn't you hear me call you? I mean, U.S. Marine, U.S. Marine, he's got that, whoa, you're just like, whoa. So I'd be like, give me a whooping. Don't yell at me. Yeah, be shaking.
You rather the whooping,
man. Yeah. Yo, man, he shake the panels. I swear to God, man. The panels be like this. So we already had that in that's hereditary. The other thing is like, I wanted to become a sportscaster.
Yeah, so me too. That was my first dream.
Oh, really?
All that, yeah.
That's dope. Yeah, so I wanted to become play-by-play guy. Boom, 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 boom. Then hip-hop came along, and the guy that turned me out to know that you could come with that type of voice was Melly Mel. Yeah, I'm like, Melly Mel still, if you go to Melly Mel's songs, man, you still shake your head like, how the hell wow. I mean, he would use words and say them in such a way, I'll be like, damn, I didn't know you could even say that as an MC.
Yeah.
So, and then later on, I mean, the most skilled MC ever to me, personally, Big Daddy Kane. Why? Because to do that voice with power and to keep moving,
the dance,
high energy, up and down, and then of course his writing skills, his abilities, his vernaculars, his angling, his flow, and all that shit. I mean,
I want to talk about performance because I remember, as growing up loving hip hop, the Run DMC presentation of Jay bringing out Run DMC, and then like they have the routine going into this like that.
Yep.
Like that was the pinnacle to me of like, wow, this. But that was still like turntables and a microphone. To me, Public Enemy was the first kind of like, it felt like a real performance, like art. You had these big ass speakers. You was climbing on speakers. Like talk about like bringing this sort of like theatrics to performance in hip hop, but again, wasn't cheesy at all. Was super organic. Was powerful.
Elliot, them speakers wasn't ours. The speakers was the promoters. Flavor made you notice. No, Flavor made you pay attention to speakers because his monkey ass was climbing on them up.
You climbed on them joints too, though. You was up on there.
He climbed up there. Oh, if you could do it, I could do it too. That type of thing. But I ain't trying to be stuck on no damn speaker. And his ass fell off a speaker more than I'm not trying to fall off a speaker, get broken apart. Remember, I got to rhyme 90% of the time. So I can't play around on unsafe,
Chuck, you was climbing them speakers. I'll send you the footage. You was climbing them speakers.
I know I climbed it, but I got off of them quick. And I found ways to get off of them without jumping off of them. So, I mean, he's got lateral room. So the whole thing is the Public Enemy, we had to what? You had to step up the ante. You already got Run and DMC and Jam Master Jay. You got Houdini with Ecstasy, Ja Lil.
The girls are going crazy.
And Grandmaster D going crazy. You got Dougie Fresh.
Oh, yeah.
Whether he's with the Get Fresh crew in 85 or doing it just with Barry B and Chill Will and making man, you like, what the? And you got LL. And LL, to this day, is the one man that everybody says, that dude's a problem for fucking an hour. An hour, he's a straight hour problem, man. He's got what they call GOAT problems. Now, later on when guys came in the narrative, the Nas's, the Jay-Z's, the Black Thoughts and all, understand LL Cool J is going to take you from second zero to 60 minutes with the potential of making your girl cry or wearing your monkey ass out as a dude.
But up at the ante of the live show, though, you said LL had to stand and say, what was the approach with Public Enemy with live shows to break through and be distinctive?
Number one, you wasn't going to understand what you heard. People come to concerts to see, right? People don't come to concerts to hear first.
Yeah, yeah.
They come to concerts to what?
Visualize.
Yeah. Because they already hearing you at your best. So now they come to see you. So our thing was like, never let them see you stop. Don't procrastinate. You only got 10 minutes anyway. But a 10-minute show, bro, is not 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes times 60 seconds. So you got 600 seconds to fuck with. The S1s are in movement. It's like a football formation. They're moving. Back and forth is Griff swinging, right? Then you got Flavor, who runs like a free safety all over the place. Yeah. He can go anywhere. Me, I'm still front and center with the DJ. In the beginnings of, Terminator, DJ Lord for the last 20 years, it's still, this is the rapper, that's the DJ. Now we've added things on, like the band. We added things in, such as like Jahi in 2006 as the guy that brings us on. All these particular you can add to that. But at the core, he's the rapper, that's the DJ. From the DJ and the MC, you can get in flavors adding in. We got movement from the S1s. Jahi can rhyme. Griff could throw in. Anybody, other vocalists could throw. It could fill out. But down to the core, it's MC DJ. It's basically, what Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff had always done.
How you do with this whole pandemic? This pandemic shutting down live, like how has that affected you? And like, can we still be optimistic that we'll get back to, in the years to come, back to this level of live shows we were at?
I don't know. I don't know about that. All I know is I'm enjoying as hell having this. I already planned for 2020 and 2021 after doing 4 years of Prophets of Rage, and then 29 years of PE. That I said we have to do things like have conversations with you on TIDAL and stuff like that. Build our virtual space. We started building that years ago, but we sort of, as things move up and you around the world and you got to find your teams, all right. Rap Station, what I love to do, and the Spit Slam record label group is what I love to do, because it deals with artists, it deals with curators, it deals with radio, it deals with visuals and stuff like that. So I wanted to be able to do that. But when we release a record, I think what's going to happen, I told this years ago when me and Flav at the beginning of this year said, we definitely going to let everybody know. If you see Chuck D and Flavor Flav together, that's like seeing Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. So we've been playing stadiums around the world. So that's what we want to do, and that's what we going to do. Or we ain't going to be seen. Now, I could do small things like we have Enemy Radio, which is the MC DJ component. We released an album earlier this year called Loud Is Not Enough. Flavor guest starred on it. We did a song I think is really pertinent to our times called Food as a Machine Gun, which talks about the gangsterism of food right now. So during the pandemic, what's been encroaching upon us, Elliot? Diabetes, hypertension, cancer. I mean, fuck COVID for a minute. Diabetes, hypertension, cancer has been running wreckshod this year. Food as a Machine Gun talked about that early on. We told people like, okay, this Enemy Radio. I had ball touring with Enemy Radio last year. It's me, Jahi, DJ Lord, James Bond. But we said a Public Enemy album is gonna come out in the summer, and it came out. Just came out a couple of weeks later.
My final question. So the politics, 45 gets it on this album, man. Like, did you watch any of the circus last night, this debate? And like
I did. For my art, I did this. You know what I'm saying?
You did that last night?
I did that last night while it was going on, man.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I stayed home and listened to Public Enemy. I didn't watch it. I mean, I'm a vote. I'm voting.
Well, I'm not going to listen to Public Enemy. I'm going to be able to look at this. It was like, wow, man. And you know what? I'll put it to quite briefly. That's what this album speaks to. It's like, what you going to do when the grid goes down? Proud to say I reached out to Uncle George Clinton.
Yes.
Also my compadre, Be Real, Sin Dog. So it's Public Enemy in Cypress Hill, but Uncle George Clinton, not reaching out. Like somebody younger than us would reach out to him just for the funk.
Yeah.
But I remember George Clinton debuting into the world of rock and funk. So that's where Funkadelic comes out of. And he was a futurist, a visionary. Even all the Parliament Funkadelic albums, they were futurists and visionaries. So asking Unc to bless us on this is the beauty of us. And the time right now is like this, man, in a nutshell. It's a side that, if you black, I'm gonna be black straight out. Not saying anybody else. You black, it's the side that you on versus the side that hates you. And the reason I'm saying the side is straight hate is because when they say that you don't matter, your lives don't matter or matter as much, that what the fuck is that other than hatred? Yeah. Unnecessary, but that's what it is, man. Yeah, they could cover and cloak it any way they want. So it's not time for micro differences or, yo, we got to figure this out that, you know, both of them are like, you know, the devil and you know, and the lesser devil. And I mean, really, 1980 was the first year I was able to vote, man. You know what I voted for? During Reagan versus Jimmy Carter. I voted for Angela Davis. So at the end of the day, we had 12 years of R&B. You know what R&B is, Elliot? Reagan and Bush.
Oh, man, I remember that.
Along with Reagan and Bush, is guns and crack, disenfranchisement.
Yes, sir.
Once the OGs was going to jail or killed off and shit, you had like money. Yeah, it was money in the streets, but you had guns and you had drugs.
Dangerous, yeah.
And all that shit. And the money was nothing but like a fishing hook. Yeah. Public Enemy came out of that to answer to some of that.
You did.
So right now, at this point, it's a reachable moment, a teachable moment. It's like, what you gonna do when the grid goes down, which asks the question like, beware government tricks. Government's tricks, meaning it's not just singular, it's plural. All these governments got games that they play. That's why I'm a culturalist. That's why hip hop has saved the world. I've been to 116 countries. It's the universal language, man. I've been in Lebanon, Beirut, seeing an 8-mile line of cats walking there from war as refugees saying, Chuck, all that shit cats be talking, they don't even mention war. You don't know what war is, man. I had to pick through rubble, man, for like food for my seat, the surviving seat that I got right on my shoulder that you're looking at. So all that talk about war, you don't want that, man. War ain't like, oh, where we at war, son, we gonna go, and then after, you know, you or one of your homies catch it, then you go back to the crib and have a grilled cheese sandwich and lay with your girl or hide for your mom. That ain't war, man. War is when everything is at war. Like you gotta sneak to take a shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta wonder. And all we gotta do is take the tools and these gadgets away. That's why Prince said, this is a time to manage your gadget or it will master you. And we have volunteered to that. So that's enough of the science on that, Elliot Wilson.
Thank you, Chuck.
But I tell you what,
you're a master, sir. You're a master.
You're shocked that I said your cousin. I had a crush on your cousin throughout my school. And you know, we graduated together in a different school, so that was cool. I've run into her a few times. She's good people.
I'll send her your love, man. Thank you, brother. Yeah. I hope for one day we can do this in person, man. Continue success, Chuck.
Yeah, man. You too, man. And good happiness on your way to the 50-yard line. That's the 5-0 for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
All right, peace, bro.
Peace, Chuck.